Okay, guys, so let me start my today's lecture now. And what you want to study today? Let's see. Okay, so today we are going to study JavaScript objects, right? I want to teach you JavaScript objects today. What are JavaScript objects and what is JSON, right? So this is something I want to teach you. So let me come over here. Let me create a new folder. This is your folder, right? Is it?
Yes.
Right. Let me come over here. Let me create a new folder with the name objects, JavaScript, objects, and JSON. Very important thing, right? Very important. So let's come over here and let's create a new file over here. Right click is not working. Okay, so let me create a new file here. JavaScript objects dot HTML, right? So this is the file, and let me have another file over here, new file, JavaScript objects dot JavaScript. So let me open this here. HTML basic skeleton, h1 tag, knowing JavaScript objects. Let me put a script tag. Source is equal to jsobjects.js. Right, save it. Let me come over here and let me just make a console log hello, right? Just to see that the file is loading correctly. We come back here. Let's open it. So here we have, where is the JavaScript object? Okay. Oh no, this is not you guys. I'm sorry. So here web programming 2020, right? And here we have and JSON, right? And let me open the HTML, right? Knowing JavaScript objects, right? And inspect elements, open the console, right? And it is saying hello, right? So basically file is loaded. So let's see that how can we create JavaScript object, right? So the deal here is that in JavaScript, nearly everything is an object. Even a function is an object, right? A string is an object, right? A number can also be an object, right? So there are like objects everywhere in JavaScript, but this is the first time we are dealing with them explicitly, right? So as we know about arrays, right? Array is one way to hold the things, right? Object is another way to hold the things, and object has something more to it, and that is objects can even have functions. Though in JavaScript we discourage this thing, but still. So for example, we can say let my object, my first object, is equal to. So once you want to make an object, So it would make, you will make it with curly braces, right? So once you have made these curly braces, so basically this is an empty object. Now here, if you want, you can put various properties and attributes and functions, right? So for example, we can say, we can come over here, we can say first name colon, right? Whatever the name is, say for example, the name is Manthan, right? Comma. Then say for example, last name, we say last name, and say last name is Patel, right? Because Manthan Patel is the only name in front of me who has written first name and last name both. So last name is Patel, right? And then I have, say for example, I have age, right? Just say 21. Manthan, you are happy? Okay, great. So, and say for example, here I want to make a function, say full name, and say this is a function. We can even put a function over here, and we say that console log my, so let me use backticks, right? So these days backticks are getting very much in fashion. So my name is dollar brackets this dot first name, right? And space, and then dollar bracket and this dot last name, right? Maybe function name is tell full name, right? Tell full name, so it is telling the full name, right? And similarly, if we want, we can have another function. So comma, say for example, tell age. We say tell age is a function, so function, and here we write console log, say let's use backticks, my age is dollar brackets braces, and here we write this dot age. So this is an object right in front of you, right? What is this? This is an object, right? So for example, if we want to access this object, we can come over here. We can say my first object dot tell full name, right? So this is how you will use it, right? By using dot notation. So basically my first object, I want to reach out your function tell full name, and it is going to tell the full name. So save it. Let's reload it, and just to see that is it telling the full name, right? My name is Manthan Patel, right? So basically this is how you use your objects, right? We can go further into it. Say for example, here we make another property of this object address, right? So why is it white? Because I did not put a comma here. So address, right? So for example, address by itself could be an object, right? Say for example, we can say that address is an object, right? Address is an object, and it has house number, say 1, 2, 3, 4. It may have street name, which is, say for example, Armstrong Street. right? We have city, right? And city is Kingsville. And we have code, which is postal code. Say, for example, what is your postal code?
363.
78363, right? So say, for example, so this is the postal code. Let's have another function over here. Tell address, right? And we say console log, and let me use backticks, dollar braces. Let me copy it, right? So for example, here I can say this dot address dot house number, right? This dot address dot house number. So then we can say space and then street name, right? So we can say this dot address dot street name. Then we have space and city. So we can say this dot address dot city and then space, and we can say this dot address dot code, right? So basically it will tell us the address, right? So if we go over there and open it, no, we have not called it. So for example, I can come over here, I can say my first object dot tell address, right? So this is a function, so these brackets, right? So it is going to tell you the address. So we come back over here, reload it, right? So it is telling us that my name is Manthan Patel, and next time it is telling the address. So basically, JavaScript object is a very, very beautiful thing, quite a beautiful thing. You can have various properties over here. Every property could be a number, it could be a string, it could be a bool, right? And every property by itself could be a object, right? As you are seeing over here, that for example, this age is a number, right? Last name is a string, but then tell name is a function, and then address by itself is what? Address by itself is a is an object, right? So address by itself is an object, right? So basically, this is how JavaScript objects are built. Very much related to JavaScript object is another thing which is known as JSON, right? Which is known as what? JSON. What is JSON? JSON is the, you can say that if we want to send a JavaScript object to a server or get some information from a server back to your client side, right? So this information is sent and received in JSON format. So you can safely say this thing, that JSON is the stringification, right? JSON is the stringification of the object, right? So for example, let's come over here and we say my let my first JSON, my first JSON is equal to JSON is a library dot parse, right? JSON.parse. Oh, no, sorry, not JSON.parse over here. JSON.stringify. JSON.stringify, and here I'm going to give my object, right? So here I gave my object, right? And once I stringify it, and let me console log it. So I say console log my first JSON, right? So we are logging it back, and let me just comment these two of console logs so that I can see only this console log. So save it, and let's go back, reload it, right? You can see this thing that we have printed our object in the form of JSON, right? So JSON has dissolved it into a string, right? JSON has dissolved the object into a string. Definitely, it has removed the functions out of it. It has taken only the data. Right? So basically, this is how we stringify a JSON or a JavaScript object and send it to the server. And similarly, this is how we receive it from the server. Right? So if you want to get your object data back, the reverse is, so once you have this thing, so let me say console log JSON dot parse, right? So to get the JavaScript object back, we use JSON dot parse, and here we'll put our first JSON, right? And you'll see that it will back in the notation of object. Right? So you can see that now it is an object having property first name, last name, age, and address. If you want, you can expand it. Right? And where is the address? Oh, address is at the top. And if you want to expand, it has all these properties. Have you got it, guys?
Yes.
Right? So basically, this is what JavaScript object is. How do we access its interiors, right? And then how do we convert it into JSON? And then how do we reach into its properties? And you can convert it back into the object. So once you know JavaScript objects and JSON, right? Now we are ready to get data from the server, right? Because we are not ready yet to make a server, but for example, there could be a web server already available somewhere, and it is sending out data. Let's say, for example, a server is available in the form of web API, and it is sending out data, and we are ready to get that data. So for your convenience, today I sat down and coded a very humble, very small server-side code for you. So it is this PHP server, right? It is sitting here, very simple code. But since in this course I'm not teaching you PHP, so I did not write this code with you, just a simple code. And let me explain it to you. So here I have one string girls names, another string boy names, right? And then I am creating a random number 0 to 6. And as some GET request will get to me, I will see that whether the request is for the boy name or the girl name. So if the request is for the boy name, so I will pick a random boy name and send back to the client, right? And if it is, the request is about a girl name, so I will pick a random girl name and send back the result to the client, right? So basically this is kind of, you can say that a small server is working, which is giving out random names, right? You tell the server that, hey, give me a boy name, so it will give you a boy name. You tell the server, give me a girl name, so it will give you a girl name. right? So let's see how is it working, and then let's try to use it inside our code, right? And then we are going to expand this knowledge further to use some web API. Right, guys? Okay, so let's come over here. Say, how can we access it, first of all? Say, for example, we come over here. Let me add a new tab. Say, we say localhost, web programming 2020, and here I have PHP server. Let me hit the server. So it is not giving me anything. Why? Because I have not mentioned that whether I want a girl name or a boy name, right? So say, for example, I say question mark, G is equal to boy, right? So if I say question mark, G is equal to boy, you see that it is giving me a JSON, right? It is giving me a JSON that name is Raj, right? So let me reload it. Next time it gave me a name Akram, right? Next time it gave me a name Bob, right? So basically, this is a server running and it is giving me, some name, right? So let's try to consume this very primitive API in our code, right? And then we are going to improve it, right? So let's consume this API in our code. Let's try using the traditional way first. So right over here, let me use the same folder. Let me give a new file, consuming API dot HTML, right? Consuming API dot HTML uh, is the name of the file. Let's create the file HTML and H1. So let us get a random name, right? So let me open this file for you. Okay, let's open a new tab here. So localhost, web programming, and where is my file located? JSON.
Up, sir, up.
Where? Yeah, here, right? And here I want to open consuming API dot, right? Let's get a random name, right? So we come over here and we say this is a form, right? Let's don't decorate it, because you can do it yourself now, right? And method is, say, for example, method is get. So there are two methods. One is the get method, other is the post method. Get method is mostly used to request the server to get something. Post method is mostly used to send some data to the server, right? In this particular case, we can use any one of them, right? So we say that use get method, right? Use get method. And by using get method, we want to get, the name. So we come over here, we say input, right? Type is text. Okay, let's don't use the input, right? So what can we use? We can use checkboxes, right? Or we can use radio button, right? We can use radio button, right? So I have completely forgotten how to make a use of radio buttons, right? So let's see that with very empty mind, that we really don't know how to use radio buttons. I'm telling you the truth, right? So very empty mind that how to use radio buttons. So let's search it, right? So we come over here, we say that Google Let's Google it. So we say radio buttons W3. Okay, what happened? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. This is great, but it has refused to go to this radio button thing. Okay, okay. So let's click this first link. So input type. So let's see over here. So for example, we can have input type radio, and if you want, you can give ID. And then the thing is that name are the same and value is different, right? Name is the same and value is different, right? So let's copy this from here, copy, right? And let's come over here and paste it right over here, and let's tap them so that they sit right. And then in server side, I'm using only G for gender, right? Not gender. So let's use G, right? And values, in values, I want a girl and a boy, right? So girl and a boy. Okay, so this is the radio button is done. Okay, and I don't need ID. So as long as both of them are having the same name, they are from the same radio button group, right? So one of them would be selected. So save it, and let's see that how does our interface look like. So reload. So we have male, female, so they are like weirdly placed, right? So we have to check that why are they being weirdly placed. So what is the issue?
Don't give the input type radio for the
Sir,
first.
sir,
Input
first
type.
we have to give radio button, then label. We gave first mail and then we gave input type as radio. I think first radio button will come, then mail will come.
No, I don't think so. So we can do various things. So for example, we can make it a division. We have so many things to do. So let's make them civil, right? So divisions are very beautiful things, right? So basically they are behaving better, right? So let's do one more thing, and that is, what should we do? Let's remove this break, and let's move with this break also, right? Save it, and let's see how do they look like now. Right? So male, female, right? So basically this is something we want. So they are radio buttons, right? And we come back here and let's put a button here, right? So type is button, name is button, and say ask the name, right? Save it. And action is the URL of our server, right? So our server is running where? Our server is running at, where it is running. So we can give localhost also. Let's give localhost, right? So we come here, where was the server, right? So this is the server, copy, right? and paste it here, right? And just remove this thing. So it is the URL of the server, which is running at localhost, web programming summer 2020, PHP server, random PHP, right? So basically it is running over there. So basically this form is going to be submitted to this particular server, and the method is get. Method is get. And it is going to send name, G is equal to girl, or G is equal to boy, and as it will hit the server, server will give back the JSON, right? Server is going to give us the JSON back, right? Are you getting me, guys? Right? So let's see how does it behave. So let's come over here and let's reload first of all, right? So that we have this button, right? So for example, we want a boy name, girl name, so ask name. So as we press ask name, something is broken. So let's see what is broken. Inspect elements, console. Okay, what is broken? The broken thing is that once you want to submit something by pressing of button, so type should be submit, right? So it was not going to the network. So save it, right? And let's reload it. So once reloaded, so once we press ask name, right? So the URL, okay, this is saying the URL is not good. So what is the URL it is taking us to? Okay, so it is trying to take us to this relative URL, right? So let's give a relative URL over here because it is not going through, it is going through localhost. So let's do this thing. So we say okay, let's do this thing. So dot backslash PHP server and this thing, right? So let's come over here and let's reload. No, okay, so it would reload the same thing. So go back and let's reload it, right? And say boy and ask the name. Right, so it has given name Neha, right? So basically, why did we ask for boy name or girl name?
Boy name, sir.
So Neha, why is it giving us Neha? Okay, let's see where is something else wrong. So we have for
Value is girl for male.
don't know, yeah, both are G, right? So this should be no. Value is girl.
For male. It is
For
girl.
male, right. So we have reverted it, right? So let's say girl here, and let's say boy over here. Right? Now it makes sense, right? So we come back over here, right? And let's go back, right? And reload it. And if we say, for example, boy and or girl, maybe this time ask the name. So it went to the server and server gave it the name, right? But don't you think that there is something which is very bad or very odd about it?
It is showing JSON file.
It is just showing the JSON, right? The entire page structure has lost. So this is not the best way to do it, right? This is not the best way to do it. So the better way or the best way to do it in this particular setting is that we make an asynchronous request. That while we are sitting here on the page, we let JavaScript ask the server that, hey, what is the information, right? And once JavaScript gives you the information back, handle that information properly and put that name at the desired place in the page. Are you getting me? Right? So let's see how can we do this thing, right? Let's see how can we do this thing, right? Getting me, guys? Okay, so let's come back over here and we say that this type is not submit. Let's say that this is just a button, right? This type is just a button. Save it and let's write some JavaScript to handle this button click. So we come over here, we say, what should we say? Script, right? Script, and here we mention the source is equal to main.js, right? And definitely now we have to write this main.js over here. So we come over here and new file, and let's name it main.js. Right? So first of all, just to see that it is connecting well, so we come over here, we console log hello, right? Just to check this thing that everything is connected. So for example, we go back here, reload, right? So it is saying hello, right? So once it is saying hello means that this JavaScript is not connected, right? So once JavaScript is connected, what should we do? We say let button is equal to document dot get element by ID. Let's use get element by ID. Ask button. Right? So ask button, and let's make that button. Is this one? So here let me give ID. So ID is equal to ask button. Right? And let me get hold of this form also actually. So let me get hold of this form. Where is the form? Yeah, here it is. So the ID is ask form, right? So I say, oh, sorry. So I come back over here. Let me get hold of this form also, because I want to submit the form, right? So I come over here, I say, let form is equal to document dot get element by ID ask form, right? So basically I have got the form, I have got the button. So the next thing I want to do is that button dot add event listener, right? As soon as button is clicked, I want to listen something, right? So what is the event? Click. And as it will be clicked, I'm going to run this function. I'm going to run what? I'm going to run this function, right? And what is this function going to do? This function is going to call a function, another function, which is get info. Right? So this is going to call a, method get info, and let's see what is this get info going to do. So we define a function over here, get info or get name. Instead of get info, let's say it is get name, right? And this function is going to be called, and this function is going to know or get to know this thing, that what do you want to get and from where we want to get, right? So for example, this is going to take a URL that where you want to ask something, right? So it is going to take the URL, and what else?
Parameter.
And
Boy or
parameters also, right? And it is going to take the parameters also, that uh, uh, for example, boy or whatever, the gender is, right? So boy or girl or whatever, so it is going to take that parameter also. So let's see how do we give this parameter over here. So one thing is that it is going to take the URL for sure. So let's have this URL over here. Let's make the URL. So we say let URL is equal to. So what was the URL? So if I show you over here, for example, if I ask girl or boy, if I click over here, okay, so we have changed it. So let me go back and redo it just to show you the so this is submit, save it, reload it, and say ask name. And once I ask name, can you see this thing? That here, after question mark, we have G is equal to boy or G is equal to girl, right? So this is going to go, right? So this is something we have to append ourselves now, right? So we come back over here. Let's create the URL. So let's come back over here and say, let's cut it from here, right? There is no action because this button would be of the type button now, right? Save it, and we go back to the JavaScript, and URL is equal to this URL question mark G is equal to, right? G is equal to something. So what is that something? So we say let radio is equal to, okay,
button ID dot value.
huh?
Button ID dot value.
Let's see. Let's see, it is a little bit technical. So we say document dot query selector all, right? And what is that? So query selector all, and basically we want to get input, right? So input fields, we want to get hold of input where type is radio, right? So input where type is radio. So let's remove this action and get from here. So we come back here in .js, and we say query selector all. What was it? Input where type is radio. Right, so let's see that what I'm getting here. So just to make it sure, the console log, whatever I'm getting, right? Save it. So let's come back here and reload it. Right, so look, this is a node list. It is having two nodes, one input type reduced, name G, value girl, name G, value boy, right? And let's expand this one, right? Let's expand this one. And here what I'm looking for is that how would I know that whether it is selected or
Check.
not selected, right?
Checked.
So checked, right? Very good, excellent. So we have this checked is equal to true, right? So I have to select that one where checked is true, right? So if you come back over here and you see this one, so here checked would be false. So I will select that value where checked is true, right? So I come over here, I say radio, right? I say radio dot for each, right? Radio dot for each, right? So it is going to select for each, right? And it is going to run for each if item dot checked, if item dot checked if item dot checked, so for each it is going to run for each value. So it is going to run this function, and so we say item dot checked, if it is checked, return, what do I want to return? Item dot value, right? So let's save it in some variable. So let G is equal to, right? Let G is equal to this, right? G is equal to this, and here after this for each, let's console log G, just to see that we are getting the right value. So guys, the deal is that once you are developing something, you do this thing like this, this is the thought process you are doing. So we save it, and once we have saved it, we come back over here and we reload it, right? And now I click this ask name. Okay, it is giving me undefined, right? It is giving me undefined. So it means that here, return will not work. Let me do this thing. So let me do this thing. Let G is equal to nothing. And instead of returning, G is equal to items.value, right? Save it, and let's reload. Right, and click ask name, and it is saying boy, right? And if I select girl, for example, and I ask name, it is saying girl, right? So I have captured the radio button, right? I have captured the radio button. So once I have captured the radio button, so I will design this URL like this. So this was the URL. So I will say, let me go down here and let me remove this console log, and let me say URL is equal to this plus G. Right, guys? So I have made my URL. I have done what? I have made my URL, and now I am going to send this URL to get name function, and this function is going to get me the name. Guys, are you getting me? right? So let's write this get name function. So if we want to send a request by JavaScript to a server, so for that we need to have HTTP request, right? So it is XHR, XML HTTP request, right? So we say let variable name could be any, XHR is equal to XML. So it was developed by, at the time when XML was used, right? That's why it's known as XML HTTP request. But now XML is replaced by JavaScript, right? XML is replaced by what? JavaScript. So here we will, sorry, now XML is replaced by JSON, right? Not JavaScript. XML is replaced by JSON. So we come over here, we say XHR is equal to this, and then we say XHR dot, what is the syntax? So XHR XML HTTP request and XHR dot, is it load? Yes, I think it is load. Load, right? And load is going to say that URL and how you want to send the request, and we want to send it as get request. Let me just confirm this thing, that is it load or is it something else? No, this is not something I wanted to see. This is not something I wanted to see. Let me close a few tabs. This is something we have already done. Okay. Okay, let's keep on working on it. If worst come, it will give us an error, right? So then we'll see. So is it load? And then we will send it, right? So let's find it, okay? It's like kind of irritating me. So we say XML, let's use Google. So we say XML HTTP request Mozilla Twitter Network, MDN. Okay. Let's come over here. So it is very important that you must have seen these references for some time, because once at times comes to get some help, you need to know that where you are looking at. And typically in these Mozilla pages, at the end, they give some good examples. So I'm trying to get to those examples. Okay, they are not giving example here. Maybe I just rolled it. So just give me a minute.
I guess it is load. Yeah.
No, it is
Load.
not load. It is something else. Open. It is open, sir. So it's open. Now I got it, right? So it is open. And then, it is on load is something else. I will use it, but load is something else, right? Okay. Yeah, so I got it, right? So it is open actually. So I come back over here, I say xhr.open. Right, xhr.open, right? And here, and once we open it, later on we say xhr.send. Right? xhr.open. Open means that you're opening that request, and send means that you are actually sending it now to the server. But the question here is, the question over here is that as you send that request to the server, server is going to give us the response back. Right? Server is going to send us that response back. So that response can come in a fraction of a second even. So once that response will come, how are you going to handle that response? Did you mention this thing somewhere? Hello? No, right? So basically the deal is that once we open the request and before we send it, we set up this paraphernalia that once the response will come, how are we going to handle it?
Response type.
Say it again.
Response type we have to set.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
We have to set response type.
No, you don't have to set the response type actually by itself, but you have to set this thing that what are you going to do with that response, right? So for example, we can have this thing right now. Say for example, we can have success function, right? And we can have failure function over here. Right? We can have a success function over here, a failure function over here, which we will send as we'll call them. And we say XHR dot on load. XHR dot on load is equal to a function. So once we are going to get a response back, we are going to run this function, right? XHR dot on load function. Let me just verify this thing. I just don't want to mess at this moment. This is my daily practice code. So while I was teaching you, I wrote this entire code, as my daily practice. So once a minute. Yes, okay, let me have this. Yes, so this is on load. Yes, I was right? So basically, this is on load. So we come back here. We say XHR dot on load is a function. So we say if XHR dot status is equal to 200, if your status code is a status code or status. It is status, right? So basically it is status. And yeah, let me just copy this block. Copy and paste it here. So XHR.status is equal to 200. If the status is 200, then call for success function. And otherwise call for failure function.
Why are we giving 200, sir?
200, my dear, once we send a request, if it is success, the status code is 200. Status code 200 means that we have got it and the request was successful and here's the response, right? Whereas if the status code is, for example, 300 something, it means that redirection. If status code is 400, it means that you messed up.
Are
If
these
status
codes are
code is
standard?
500, means that server messed up, right? So this is, if status code is 200, it means that there's a success. Are you getting me?
Are these codes are standard codes like
They
we
are
need to?
standard HTTP codes, yes.
Okay.
Right, these are standard HTTP codes, right? So we come over here and we say, you can read them. So let's make these functions. So let's make success function. We say function. So this is a success function. And for the time being, we just console log whatever we get. Right, and let's make a failure function also here. Later on, we are going to expand them. So this is failure function. Right, so this is the failure function. And once we are going to call them, where did we call? We need not only give URL, but also the success function. And the failure function. Right, guys, so basically with this code, now we are ready to send this request. So let's see if we get it. Okay, so we come over here, open your tab, and let's remove extra console logs just to avoid rush in our console. Did we have any extra logs? Yes. So let's comment it out. And do we have some or more extra console logs? No, right? So save it. So once we have saved it, let's go back over here, reload it, right? So for example, ask the name and say girl, and ask the name, click it, or type error, XML HTTP request constructor new is, oh sorry, I missed new. So where is that new? So here we have new. Right, save it, come back here, reload it, ask me. Okay, what is the issue? An illegal string main.js line number 7. Main.js line number 7. Okay, illegal string, it is saying that some illegal string is given.
Get must be first.
There is get written over here.
It must be first. After that, you are.
Okay. What do you mean?
We have tried get first. After that,
Get
URL.
first, then URL. Okay, you might be right. Get, comma, URL. Thank you very much. Appreciate. Ralidhar. So we reload it. So we ask the name, right? Success name is Rebecca. Right? So basically now look at it. Now your page structure is not gone. Your JavaScript is sending requests to the server and getting the response. Right? And once you get the response, right, now you can do something about it, right? So say for example, and say, let's try boy, ask. So it has given Frank, right? So basically it is working now. Thank you very much, Balidhar. Let me give you some credit for this, right? Good. Thank you very much for paying attention. Okay, I'm happy. Okay, so we come over here, for example, in our HTML, right? So in our HTML, let's have this paragraph, and let has its ID is equal to output, right? So its ID is output. So we come over here. So we get hold of this paragraph. We say let output is equal to document dot get element by ID, and ID is output, right? And we go into our success function, success, and we say so output, right? Here we have the output. So we say output dot inner HTML is equal to your name suggestion is and here we want to give that, right? But look, we are getting JSON, right? Did you see this thing that we are getting JSON over here, right? So first thing we have to do is we need to convert it back to the object. So we come here, we say let obj is equal to anything would work, right? Is equal to JSON dot parse, right? JSON dot parse the message, right? So once you pass it, it is going to be an object, and here once you want to give it the name, so you will plus and obj dot name, right? Now it will give you the name at proper place.
P is
So below,
uppercase variable, I guess.
huh?
In
Say it
output,
again.
P is uppercase, I guess. You declare the variable.
Which variable, my dear?
In line number 22, yes, output is in output P is in uppercase.
Okay. Who is talking? Menthan. Yes, thank you. You are right. There are so many people who are attentive. Very good. Okay. So save it and let's reload it and see that if the name is obtained and name is
In line number 22, at in line number 22. Oh, okay, right.
right. I have corrected it. Yes, you said, yeah. So for example, I want to have a girl name. Ask the name. Your name suggestion is Neha, right? Ask another name, Jill, right? So now you can see that, request is going to the server. Do you know Nirja?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
Who is Nirja?
Air hostess.
Air hostess.
Hostess, yeah. I watched that movie and it was very impressive. She is definitely he was definitely a great lady. So yeah, so okay. So ask the name and it is, giving us the name. Ask boy name, it is giving us the boy name, right? So basically we have connected our front end to a server who was giving out JSON, right? We are receiving that JSON and we are converting it, in the right format, which is JavaScript object, and then we are using it. Right, guys? So in our next lecture, so this was like a small API we were using. So in our next lecture, we are going to use a big API, like actual web server API, to see that how can we consume it. And once we are done with it, then we will see this thing that how do we how can we construct a server actually in JavaScript? Right? Got it?
Yes.
But don't forget to do your homework, which is slider with pull with 20 images. And this is your major homework. Okay?
Okay, sir. So when is due date? Like
tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? So, one lecture means 1 week in summer semester, right? So we cannot say, hey, okay, let's have it next week, right? So this is not possible. Okay, take care. So if you have any question or you want to have me for your office hours, you can stay in this communication. Otherwise, you can drop, right? Thank you very much. You have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Menthan?